photograph with him with everyone, but I wanted to have one speaker speak before he does as an introduction. Nohemy is, and her mother were homeless. What's your name? But as of September, she is going to be getting a full scholarship at your university.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Senator Booker, for being here today, taking time out of your busy schedule. My name is Nohemy Zabala, like you said, and I am here today to put a face to homelessness and no custom housing. Yeah. When I was 15, I felt like my whole life was falling apart. Instead of feeling like the typical loving girl that I used to be, I felt lost, hopeless, and lost. I was forced to grow up and mature. My mom has always worked very hard to sustain both of us, but unfortunately, one day she lost her job. We lived off of credit cards and the little life savings that we had until one day, sophomore year of my high school years, we lost our apartment. With no place to go, we began going from house to house, whether it would be a friend or a family member, and some days we'd even have to sleep in our car. Eventually, we found that there was literally nowhere else to go. It was very tough. I would never wish the situation on anyone else, not even the worst of the worst. I constantly asked myself, why does that happen to us? All I wanted to do was host sleepovers and get on the honor roll his every Marching period, not have to worry about where I was sleeping the next night or whether I would have a meal the next day or not. Usually, when people become homeless, they go to shelters immediately, but we didn't even know. I was so young, we didn't know that there was such a thing as organizations such as Homeless Solutions. So eventually, we found Homeless Solutions, and Homeless Solutions literally rescued us. At the shelter, we finally had a bed to sleep on, and at least 2 meals secured every day. As soon as we got there, we got a social worker who began working with us, and we began to build up savings again. And with the help of faculty, we worked on building up my mom's credit again and start paying off her many debts. And I could literally list on for hours the many things that they've done for us. 2 extensions later at the shelter, we moved to Homeless Solutions Transitional Housing Program, where the faculty worked alongside all the participants with the goal to find a permanent housing for all the participants and not only find a place for them to live, but completely change their lives like they changed their life. A week before Christmas last year, my mom and I received a gift we've been waiting for years. A place to call home. An affordable place and call it our own. And here we are now. My mom has been working 3 hours since, and since then, we've been attending workshops and one-on-one meetings to continue to learn how to save properly, how to budget, how to repair credit, and again, so much more. Reality is that the cost of market rate housing in Morris County is well above what my mom and most single parents can afford, even when working over 50 hours a week, year-round. If these government-funded programs and vouchers weren't in existence, I genuinely don't know where I would be right this very moment. This fall, I'll be attending Drew University on a full scholarship. And being a contributing member to a community and becoming an advocate is now possible thanks to Homeless Solution and all the many people within the organization that have helped me become the person I am now. They literally caught us when we fell and allowed us to soar, and which this is why no custom housing has affected me so personally on not only me and myself, but to just think that someone my age could be living the same thing that I lived through just breaks my heart. And as U.S. citizens, as New Jersey residents, and as people, we have the right to have housing. This shouldn't be something that you are rewarded but a right that we have as citizens.
So everybody, you have to forgive me. They just started the vote on the clock, so I have to be on the floor to vote on health care in about 10 minutes. But I just want to say, I want to take a few moments to thank everybody who's here. Many of you all who know me, I see a lot of Newark folk up in here, know that I started my professional life as a tenant organizer in Newark, New Jersey. This is my roots and my history. I moved into some high-rise, low-income housing led by, frankly, a slumlord who we eventually, through legal action, got convicted in federal court. I still live in that neighborhood today. We have 100 senators in the United States Senate, as you all know. I'm the only person that goes back to an inner city community. The median income in my section of Newark where I live, where I first moved into in the 1990s, is about $14,000. Now I believe, like you believe, that this United States of America that we're a part of, our core values, is we believe in this ideal of liberty and justice for all. Not just justice for the rich, not justice for the wealthy, but justice for all. And some of the most basic fundamental elements of human rights. Literally, I just had a committee hearing today on South Sudan. And one of the fundamental ideas they said for all of these displaced people was finding them a place to live. But we are the most wealthy nation in the world. We're not the poorest nation in this world. And if we ever give up on this ideal that every American should have a safe, decent, and affordable place to live, if we give up on that ideal, we give up on the ideals of America. And this is why what's happening right now is outrageous. Outrageous. To have a president of the United States to cut funding in his proposed budget to programs that we all know are essential. The beautiful soul who just spoke before me talked about the importance of these housing vouchers. We know that CDBG, Community Development Block Grants, Home Fund, Section 8, we know all of these things are not luxuries. They're essential to getting folks security and housing. But the other thing that we know that unfortunately it seems that fiscal conservatives on the Republican Party don't know is that economically, when you invest in the security of housing, children thrive in that environment. When children are homeless or have to move again and again and again, it undermines their potential. It undermines their ability to get a great education. It undermines their ability to contribute overall and hurts the whole economy. And so if the greatest natural resource in a nation is not oil and gas, you remember we're in a global knowledge-based economy. The greatest natural resource in any nation is its people, And this idea of a home, remember when we sang this idea of a home of the brave, when we talk about homes, we have an obligation in this country to fight for housing. I have a book club. Those of you who follow me on Facebook, you know this, or Twitter know this. And the next book we're reading in my book club is a book called Evicted. It's a story of the outrageous realities that so many Americans face. And many of these Americans are working Americans. Many of these Americans are Americans struggling with disabilities. Many of these Americans are people that have worked their entire lives and now are in their senior years, but are facing conditions in their homes, whether it's with rats or mice, conditions that are so bad. And what happens if you complain about it? What happens if you do your legal right to withhold rent? Well, you get blacklisted in our country. That's why right now I've worked with housing advocates in New Jersey to put legislation to ban this blacklisting that happens. You all to know, I will continue to fight for affordable housing. I want you all to know I will continue to fight against landlords who use despicable means with which to discriminate against people. I want you to know that I'll continue to fight for fair housing. I want you to know I'll continue to fight against housing discrimination, because who I am, I wish we could all be meeting in my office right now. If you were sitting in my office, you would see the big thing on the wall behind where I sit to keep me grounded every single day to know why I am here in the United States Senate, is actually a map of the Central Ward of Newark. The first community ever to give me a shot, to believe in me. And who the heck was I? I was just some kid, a little bit out of law school, that they put their faith in. My entire political career is built on that foundation of the Central Ward of our city that is still to this day. I'm so proud when I was mayor that we doubled the production of affordable housing. I'm so proud that when I was mayor, we created housing for people of homeless. But we know in Newark, in Camden, in Patterson, Passaic, I can go through Trenton, I can go through Willingboro, I can talk about it. We still have an urgent crisis with affordable housing. Now, I want you all to know this final message, and forgive me, I know there's a lot of pictures I'd like to take, but if I miss this vote on healthcare, I know you all understand that. I can't. Why are y'all telling me what I already know? You know I would not be able to get on that train and go back to New Jersey if I ever voted yes for this mess. So know this. This is what I want to say to you that is so important. So important. And I cannot thank you enough. This is me telling you something you already know and saying thank you at the same time. We know the history of this country. It's not a bunch of people in Washington sitting around deciding, hey, we want to give people workers' rights or civil rights or voting rights or women's rights. We don't want to just decide to do housing programs like the home program. No, everything, every inch of ground of progress in this nation has had to be fought for and struggled for and sacrificed for and advocated for by folk, ordinary Americans willing to do extraordinary things in the cause of this country. That's why this thank you. Your presence here matters. Your presence here makes a difference. Your advocacy is so important. I'm a grassroots guy. You've got to make sure that you continue to agitate and activate other people and demonstrate and push and fight, because what's happening in this nation is really disturbing. We're seeing this rich get richer and richer and richer. We're seeing stagnant wages, people being left behind, poverty getting more sticky in this country. And this is a trend that has to end, but it's not just going to end automatically. We're going to have to fight it. We're going to have to get people to wake up that we all do better when we all do better.
That's right.
And so I want to ask you guys to remember what I learned as a young activist on the streets of Newark, New Jersey, from great tenant leaders like Frank Hutchins, like Miss Virginia Jones, like Miss Charlene Jackson, like Elaine Sewell. I can go through the incredible people who taught me so much at the earliest age. But one thing they taught me when they took on powerful people, when they took on people with titles or with position, they kept reminding me over and over again never to forget that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. And so I call upon everybody to continue the fight. I need when I stand up and push a bill like ending of tenant blacklisting, I need you all to show what the real power is, people demanding that change to happen. When we have the budget fights over home funds and CDBG funds, you all have to lead the fight to let every congressperson that represents New Jersey know that if you're not fighting for home funds, for CDBG funds, you're fighting against the people in your own district. I need your voices. As the old spiritual says, lift every voice and sing. So I want to thank you all. I love you. I wish I could hug everybody here, but I'm definitely in this fight with you. Thank you, everybody.